Welcome back to Leveraging Leadership, where we unpack the art of business leadership. I'm your host, Emily Sander, Chief of Staff turned Executive Leadership Coach. I work with people to help them step into effective leadership and realize their professional and personal goals. If you have known failure and success, if you have had good bosses and bad bosses, if you are a high achiever and want new ideas, and if you want the practical and tactical side of things, then you are in the right place. This show is all about finding your points of greatest influence and leveraging them to better serve those around you. And our guest today is Meredith Pong, and she is the Chief of Staff for Hally Hair. Meredith, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on. It's been a great time so far, and I'm ready to go.
Sounds good. So your Chief of Staff origin story starts with an internship and a bad hair day. So can you please let us know how you met Catherine?
Yeah, it was crazy. I did a 2-week internship. They called it a winternship when I was in college. And it was basically just to test out to see if you'd like this company. It was a Walmart incubator company called Jet Black. Basically, it was Jet Black before Walmart Plus came around, trying to see if they could reach a more urban customer rather than suburban customer. And it was headed by Jenny Fleiss, who was ex-Run Through One Way. So that's really what brought me in, because I was like, ooh, female founder, what's this company going to be like? Really enjoyed my 2 weeks there, turned it into a full-time summer internship, and then again for the year after. So I was working under Catherine Winokur, who is the CEO and founder of Hallie. But at that time, she was the marketing director of Jet Black. So met her there, learned a lot. And yeah, I would always come into the office. You can tell my hair's dyed now. I've been dyeing it for years. But obviously my parents were not a fan of the, $300+ trip to the salon. So if I wanted my hair a certain color, it would mean that I needed to do it by myself. Which, yeah, correct, led to some mild disaster. And Catherine was the witness to all of those.
All right. And then that led to her eventually talking to you about it and then getting to know you more. And the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, pretty much. He was interested in creating a box hair dye, a clean box hair dye, that would be sold at mass during the pandemic. It was my senior spring when, they sent everyone home from school. So I was sitting at home very sad, twiddling my thumb, and not engaged on my online classes. So she please swept in at the right time and was like, hey, want to help me build this brand I've been dreaming about? We don't have much except this idea for clean hair color. And then yeah, we went from there. It was kind of crazy how fast everything came together. But instead of my senior spring of a beach trip and graduation and having fun with my friend, it was me on Zooms grilling them about, what do you think of this name? What do you think of these products? Like, would you ever try this? Have you dyed your hair? Like, does your mom dye your hair? Etc. So that was senior spring.
That's amazing. So for context, what does Hally Hair do? What customers does it serve, and what does it do now? That was the genesis of it, but it's grown since then.
Yeah, so we are about 3 years old now. And it started out with just hair color. Now we've expanded, so we do hair care and hair color and accessories. Everything is still clean. But yeah, we've really been expanding and playing into different trends. And we primarily serve Gen Z and millennials age range.
All right. What is Sororities of the South in terms of Hally Hair? Because I know it sounds like a reality show to some listeners, but what is that kind of target market in terms of Hally Hair customers?
Yeah, we've really realized that college students are our go-to, because they're also seeing things from people who've just graduated, and that's a prime, influencer community. And then they're also influencing the girls who are younger than them. So with hair dye, you're looking at repetition, right? Everyone's kind of saying, okay, how can we get this repeat customer? Where do they come from? Sorority to the South, many people dye their hair blonde. And to dye your hair blonde requires a lot of upkeep because your roots keep coming in, or, the tone they put on gets a little brassy and orange. So we have Atomic Blonde, which is our blonde hair dye that you can do easily at home. No mess, super fast. And we also have toning and gloss and glazes because dyeing your hair does tend to dry it out. So our marketing team really focused on reaching out to different sororities in the South because we thought it was a really nice and genuine partnership. And we also have a collaboration with Too Faced. So we do a big tour on this decked out bus, and it goes to different sorority rush stops or sorority events to help them get ready for formals or like any, themed fun bid day events, rush events. So that is really exciting for us. We've got some great content. We've been deep into Rush Talk. So you can find girls dancing with their product in their hair in front of their massive sorority houses. Kind of an alternate universe to my life, but it's exciting.
Very cool. So how were you involved with the marketing team in that push as chief of staff? And I know you guys was it Streak for a Cause down there as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have a bunch of different initiatives. I feel like our team of 10 is very scrappy. So we kind of try to blend as many initiatives as we can together just to all target the same audience. So we do, the sorority push. Streak for a Cause I led, and that was our charity initiative. We gave all the proceeds to suicide prevention awareness, which is something that's also really big on campus and works well with sororities too because they have a philanthropic arm and points per semester that they need to hit. So it works well. The synergy is there to do a philanthropy event with sororities. We also went to historically Black universities, so HBCUs we did some events at, and then I'm really happy that we worked with some sororities that were for South Asian and Asian identifying women as well. So try to span the gamut. And then we also got to work with a lot of female sports teams, and so we had some dedication games with them as well. So it seems like a very different, universe. We're pulling, females and from different cohorts on campus, but really trying to pull them all together so they see Hallie, as many times as we can have them see Hallie.
Smart marketing and involvement pieces. So take us through that a little bit. So you as chief of staff, did you come up with the idea for Streak for Cause, or was that something you were implementing and executing toward? How does that go?
Yeah, when Catherine and I were figuring out Hallie and, part of coloring your hair and intrinsically is self-confidence and, presenting yourself and also experimentation. And so built into Hallie is our mission of, self-care, mental health awareness. And we do participate in the 1% pledge. But so we were looking on how to give back to campuses, how to help the college students we're working with. We actually have one of our insiders, which are like college students we work with on a more regular basis who host events and things like that, actually did pass away, and it was suicide, and we only found that out later on. So it was something that we as a team were really passionate about, doing what we could on campus. And really, it was something that was coming up in our focus groups with our insiders. We are asking them, what are they passionate about? What's a really big issue on campus? So that's how Streak for a Cause came about. Obviously, Streak for a Cause can be applied to many different causes. We had some breast cancer awareness games. We had some walks in the spring. But the main thing we really wanted to focus on was suicide prevention awareness.
Okay. And then how are you personally involved in some of the product development? Because I know some of the products were your idea and you worked with the teams to develop those. So maybe take us through an example of one of those.
Yeah. We play with trend a lot. And so that means on my side, it's a lot of, okay, what's on the market? What do I wish is on the market? Just seeing what's happening across beauty, hair, food, even just looking at what people are into. Let me see. This is Brow Pal. This is our brow tint. This is something that I worked on with our old creative director, Magda. And it basically is an instant tint. My brows aren't, very dark. I think it's like an Asian thing. Her brows aren't the darkest. So this is a tint, and it comes with a wand, a towel, And the actual packaging is something I worked on closely with our designer. So this red coral color was our like Hallie logo, our hero color. And then we worked with this pink just because millennial pink, it was cute. And then we wanted something chunky. So very involved in like packaging design. And we made a special logo and a special font for Brow Pal with little stars, which are more like Hallie signage. But yeah, it's just really exciting to work from an idea that we had that we were just, like tossing about. We've done a lot of hair. Where else can we do hair? I guess brow counts as hair. Let's go for it. To seeing it, on shelf, seeing it on Amazon, and really working with the factories to develop something that works well. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of moving parts. And as chief of staff, I'm often the one who's on top of project management, who's on top of timelines and making sure the factories are working together with our fillers, making sure we have the right certifications and legal documents to bring everything to market. So it's a lot of coordination, but I really love when I get to have input on it.
That's amazing. As chief of staff, you get to develop products and see it all the way through. So take us through that a little bit behind the scenes. So you have an idea, and is that just out of the blue? Do you have a team brainstorming session where you think about how do we expand our product suite? Like, what does that first step look like?
Yeah, ideas come from many places. A lot of the times it's us saying, oh, I wish this product did X, Y, and Z, or I'm really missing this in my routine, or we see a video that just like sparks an idea. So, for example, we're playing a lot with scents now. We just came up with Lighten Up, which is basically our improved version take on Sun-In and putting lemon juice in your hair to lighten up. But we saw, a product that worked on blondes, and we said, hey, there's no product to work on brunettes. So why don't we create that? So that was one idea. And then others we're working with different retailers. We're listening to their feedback. We're listening to what they're seeing that people are getting excited about for what they think people would be excited for. So inputs come from lots of different places. And then it's our job to distill on, okay, what do we think will do well and what is authentic to Hallie?
Okay. So let's say that for like this example, you were like, I'm just missing this in my routine. I would love to have this. Then you take that to the team. Is that your product team or is that third-party vendors you work with? Like, hey, is a product like this possible? What's the next step after, oh, this is an idea. It aligns with our business mission. Let's see what it would take to make this happen.
Yeah, we have a lab. So we go to their lab and we say, hey, is this possible? Do you have any idea how to do this? These are basically our brief, right? This is our ideal product. Let us know what's possible. There's a lot of tweaking and testing after that. Or, for example, for our color cloud, I was the guinea pig on many different shades. And I had to go through various dyeing processes and boxes of dye. So we do testing on ourselves and official testing, of course. But there are many iterations on formula. Then we work on packaging design. So some are off shelf, some are custom molds, custom tooling. Obviously takes more time. And then, bringing those together and seeing, do we want to sell DTC? Do we want to sell on Amazon? Are we selling this into a retailer? And that really decides packaging and what everything looks like. And then, executing on our idea comes next.
On all of that. And so did you help develop the partnerships with, I think you're like Target and Walgreens and Fred Meyer and those types of places? Were you spearheading those, or was that kind of someone else in the business?
Yeah, we have a great retail lead, so I am less connected to our retailer expansion and more focused on product development.
But the overall process, you kind of oversee the whole project plan, as it were, from ideation all the way to, okay, now it's being distributed in these retailers.
And then once it's still in the retailers, I'm on reporting and, seeing how things are going and talking about, okay, are there any tweaks that we need to make to the formula? Are people coming back with feedback? We've had some feedback on our shade sticks, on different parts of the components. So working on making the UX better. So things like that. We're constantly iterating and also constantly creating new things.
Very cool. So I'm assuming that you work very closely with your CMO. And I think you guys are in different locations, but I'm hearing all these marketing pieces and feedback and loops and all these things. So can you talk a little bit about who you work with internally? I guess it's 10 people, so you probably work with everyone, but is there kind of a regular touch point with your principal, with your CMO, anyone else on your team?
Yeah, my main touch point is definitely with our CEO, so with Catherine. She keeps us all, and I hope to keep everyone pretty much on top of things and on task. We work closely with our CMO too, but um, if there being remote does present a challenge, I think, to being chief of staff, because you're not there, you're not necessarily in the room, you're not the same, you're not synced in the same way. And then I'm also in London, and she is usually on the East Coast, so we have a time difference to account for as well, and we have some team members on the West Coast. But what's really helpful is that we have about 5 core hours a day where everyone needs to be pretty available. And we try to get any collaboration done during those hours. So that's been something that we've instituted that's really helpful. And I think just documenting processes and making sure that every meeting is really efficient and really needs to be on the calendar is what helps us work so well together. So whether we are in a meeting or we're not in a meeting together, our email and our Slack chains are very active.
Huh, that's awesome. So were you one of the first hires on board, or were there team members already there when you got hired?
So when I started with Catherine in the pandemic, it was me, Catherine, and the designer, and we were really just establishing the brand. Um,
Wow.
After that, I left because I had a job lined up for myself after graduation. And the Hallie thing kind of came along as this is a fun way to bide my time until I start my job, my actual job. So I took 2 years in London, and that's where I was basically a business analyst or a consultant, and I reported to a director of hospitality and then a CMO, which I think prepared me really well to come back to Catherine. And I saw, Hallie was growing, and I always kept in touch with her, and I said, hey, I would love to come back and see Hallie to this journey.
And when you came back and the company had grown up a bit, and you were in London, how did you go about building those relationships? I mean, you had the connection with Catherine and you kept in touch, but as chief of staff, how did you go about getting to know people and building those close relationships?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. We have this fun Slack channel that's like what I did this weekend. So it can't be work related. So we have different initiatives to, build camaraderie. And part of my job is to work on that, right? Work on creating processes, work on community, work on efficiency and team building. What was really nice is that I am from New York. So when I am home in New York, we've had team meetings, we've done events, we had a Barbie partnership, we had a big event, we have, the tour bus going around to sororities in the South where at least 1 or 2 of our team members will be there. We do, Walmart shareholders, we do Ulta events. So there are many different opportunities where we get to see each other or collaborate. And then I'm very lucky that some of the team has visited London on their personal vacation. So we've also got to spend time together that way.
That's very cool. Okay, so actually, you are in touch quite a lot. If you're in New York sometimes and they're in London sometimes, that's more than some chiefs of staff and the rest of their team members meet up. Very cool. So one of your, I think it's annual, your big model shoot. So I know that sometimes chiefs of staff coordinate with, like events, and we had our annual risk summit every year, and that was a big deal. And certainly marketing was on point for that, but lots of people were involved in putting that together. Can you just talk through this photo shoot? Because when I spoke with you earlier, it was the first time a chief of staff was like, oh, we need the models and we need the photo shoot and we need the lighting and the studio. And I was like, that's a cool project for a chief of staff. So can you talk a little bit about that and your involvement in that annual event?
Yeah, basically, I've always been like slightly creative, I would say. I do, as much as I enjoy numbers in Excel, I always need a creative outlet. And so Catherine is well aware of it. And so I've been really lucky. And I think as someone who really understands the brand and who's been there from the beginning to say, with our, we only have budget really for one big model shoot because they are expensive a year. What assets do we really need? How can these assets be evergreen? Who needs to be there? So I've done the big annual photo shoot twice now. We advertise for models. We look for models. I screened all of the models this year. It was 700 of them. Had, second session callbacks with them to get to know them, see if they're a fit, see if their personalities are a fit. Obviously, I did all the negotiations, brought 7 great models to set that day, worked on, grabbing a really great space and studio, finding a photographer. Yeah. Thinking about lighting, thinking out mood boards. So, from concepting to models to, I was really fortunate I got to fly in and be obviously on set that day to making sure we get all the shots and working through the shot list together. Obviously, our CMO was present and also making sure that everything was on brand and everything went smoothly. And yeah, really excited because those models, they're all young, they're all fun. They get to see themselves on Ulta.com. They get to see themselves on Target, potentially in store. So it's a really good process all around. But yeah, there were moments during it when I was like, what am I doing? I know chief of staff has to wear many hats, but this feels like a whole different world. But it was exciting and lovely, and I really enjoy learning. So I'm excited for any potential future shoots that we do.
I think that's so cool. That's so fun. That's amazing. And I'm just curious. So you mentioned, you have one big photo shoot a year, and that has to be evergreen content. So do you and your CMO kind of plan, okay, for the next year, we think we're going to need these types of photos, or we always are going to want to have these in our back pocket? And then do you do like season specific things in advance, or are those things that you just make on the fly as you go throughout the year? How does that kind of one big photo shoot, how do you capitalize on that, but then also have relevant topical stuff throughout the year?
Yeah, this is where my knowledge of the product development and the timelines also really help because I know exactly what's coming down the line and what we need for that. Even if we don't have the exact product yet, I know how it's going to be applied or like the assets that we would want to see on our PDP, our product display pages. So yeah, that really helps in planning. So sometimes we'll do the shot and we'll know what the product is, but we won't have an actual product for them to hold or things like that. So it's trying to plan and foresee as much as we can, especially because we know we're big on Halloween, we're big on holiday, we're big on July 4th, any moments where people can color their hair. Or for example, the Olympics, Team USA is going to be really big. So we do our best. Obviously, I can't forecast everything, but yes, to be evergreen, to be on brand, and to kind of, if we can, catch a trend or a hairstyle or something ahead of time.
And because you have knowledge of all of those different strategic pieces, you can plan in advance pretty effectively. Very cool. So you mentioned the Olympics. Can you talk a little bit about Hally Hair and the Olympics? I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. I think it was something that was always on our radar because our shade sticks, which are behind me, it's like one day hair mascara or hair paint, work very well for any sports initiative, sports games. So we have a long history of working with athletes, especially because the NCAA allowed NIL deals, allowed us to actually work with athletes and pay athletes. And so we've really been focusing on supporting female athletes, specifically for Hallie. And it started out with a project with Baylor University. We worked with their women's basketball team. It was really successful, and that was negotiating with lots of athletes. We had 100 athletes participate actually in our campaign and wear our shade sticks and try them out and post content. And then from Baylor, it worked so well that we moved on to, we did softball, we did women's softball, and we did beach volleyball. So then naturally, when the Olympics were coming around, we were like, well, we have all these networks and connections now with female athletes. Who's going to the Olympics or who might make it to the Olympics? What sports work really well with our new products that are coming out? And so one of our new products are these glitter shade sticks. So our normal hair paint plus glitter. And we thought people absolutely adore gymnastics. How can we get somehow into gymnastics and the Olympics? This was literally our thought process. And then, going out to the team being like, does anyone know anybody related to the Olympics, to NBC, to be a hair sponsor, whatnot? We quickly found out that they kind of already have a hair sponsor, and that while it's not hair dye or hair color in their contract, it would be an issue. So we were like, okay, great. We're not going to work with the Olympic Committee, but we will work with specific athletes because that's allowed. And so we have found ourselves a very fun female gymnast who, hopefully, knock on wood, makes it to Team USA, but otherwise is still a very, very natural fit for our brand. It is Leanne Wong. I'm allowed to talk about this. And we are really, really hopeful that she's going to make it to Olympics, but she is also an entrepreneur herself. She has a bow company, a hair bow company, so she's already in the hair space. And, hair gems and, hair glitter and everything we do just really naturally fits in with her brand already, and that we have a history of supporting female athletes. So it really just came together naturally. And yeah, now all of our, Instagram feeds and TikTok feeds are gymnastic videos. That's what's been taken over Hally HQ recently.
So we know who you're rooting for the Olympics this year.
Yeah. We're not slightly biased, but no, we're really, really excited for her and for this partnership.
That is very cool. Amazing. So to round us out here, what would you say are your biggest challenges or struggles as chief of staff? And then what would you say are your favorite parts or most memorable positive moments?
I think you hit the nail on the head with relationship building. I think it's hard, definitely, with a remote team, but I think being remote and being flexible is something that everyone on this team really appreciates. We have a lot of moms and dads, and then we have people in different time zones, and we have, some of our team has to travel a lot because they're going to all these sorority bus stops or college bus stops, so it's really valuable that we respect people's flexibility. But at the same time, it's how do we build these ties? And it's something we're always going to be working on. I don't think we found, a perfect solution. And, our board members and investors always have input, but it's working on, you can't fly everyone out to see each other every month. So what can we do, and what makes people feel connected to the product, to the brand, and to each other on camera is still definitely a work in progress. I think another challenge is we are young, we are nimble, and we are constantly creating new projects and products, but because of that, timelines are very tight. And as much as you can forecast, it's a lot of, product design. Oh, this is like version 10. We're coming up against, you need to ship this as soon as possible. And just working on, figuring out for us, forecasting how much product do we need? Are our estimates correct? How much do we think we're going to sell? Because we have a 3-month shipping timeline and filling timeline. And so that's definitely a challenge. But I think what's been really lovely, because I did spend my 2 years in corporate, and is that you can really bring up any idea and you can make a case for it. And if you can make that case to Catherine and to our team, you pretty much get the green light. So whether it's Brow Pal or whether it's a different partnership, whether it's Streak for a Cause, whether, we're looking into high school flag football female athletes at the moment, like whatever idea it is, you'll always have an open ear and the inclination of someone to say yes rather than to say no. And I think that's something that's really powerful. And then also, I get to learn on the job every day. I have so much stuff behind me. I've been the product photographer. I've been on our social media. So I've been, our model. I've been to events. I represent the brand, created the products, done the reporting. So in and out, I am definitely a generalist, but I'm happy to try my best at whatever challenge is thrown at me.
Amazing. Yes, I think lots of chiefs of staff can relate to, I learn every day, learn something new, had to jump into something new every day. So that's amazing. And you're in very good company. And it seems like you are creative and you are innovative and you are nimble and adaptable. So I think those traits in you exude to the team and help the team and companies. Well done on your part. If people listening are like, oh, I would like to know more about Hally Hair, or where do I get that for themselves, or they're interested in, oh, we might have a potential partnership, where's the best place to find out more information?
Yeah, I mean, my DMs on LinkedIn are always open, but you can find us at Ulta, at Target, at Amazon, at Walmart, on our own website, even on TikTok Shop now. So go forth and find us. But if not, yeah, LinkedIn is a safe bet.
Beautiful. We'll have that link in the show notes. But Meredith, thank you so much for being on. This has been an amazing conversation. Definitely some firsts for me in terms of model shoots and things like that. But I love the versatility of the chief of staff role and the fact that you are an effective chief of staff in this young company doing all these sorts of fun, creative things. So thank you so much for being on.
Thanks so much for having me.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.